Welcome to Hear In Hanover, your all-access pass to everything happening in Hanover County. I'm your host, Kristen Smith Dunlop. Hard to believe we are already into fall, and you know what that means? Lots of political ads, right? I know you're seeing them, so we thought this would be a great opportunity to bring in Hanover County's Registrar and Director of Elections, Teresa Smithson, to talk about the election and what she and her team do to make sure that it's fair, transparent, and secure here in Hanover. Hi, Terry.
Hello there. Thank you so much for having me. And let me squeak in the door really quickly. We've got active voting happening over in the Wickham building right now. We're open from 8:30 in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon, Monday through Friday. And then the 2 Saturdays before the election, we will be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to accommodate those Saturday voters. So we're really excited. Lots is going on over there. If you need information, you can go and stop by one of the political party booths out there. They got lots of information for you. And we're ready to receive you to come in. So grab your ID and come on down to the county. It's a beautiful drive out here to 301, so come and visit us.
Okay, let's talk about election integrity. That's been kind of a hot button over the past several years,
Right.
and it might mean different things to different people, but what does it mean to your team, to yourself, on a practical level?
Election integrity and security is one of the most paramount issues that we take very seriously. And it's not just me in Hanover County, it's across the Commonwealth. There's 133 general registrars in the state that it's their number one job to ensure election integrity. One vote, one ballot, one person, and that's it. And that's the way it works. We set security measures in place, everything from cybersecurity, physical security, redundancies, because you know government loves their paperwork. So we have a lot of redundancies in place, chain of custody. I know a lot of people think that they walk into a poll on election day, they show their ID, state their name, their address, and they're provided a ballot where they simply fill in the little circle, walk it over to the ballot machine where they put it into the ballot scanner, which holds that ballot until 7 o'clock that night, where they will then, the officers will run the results. From step into the polling place to stepping out of the polling place with that sticker that says I have voted is so tightly scrutinized and watched by everybody in there that it seems seamless. It's flawless. It's easy. That's the way we want it. But there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to ensure that all of those parts and pieces are in place so the voter can come in and vote in confidence.
So let's start with step one. Someone walks in to vote, whether it's election day, early voting, they have an ID, they want a ballot. That might not always be the case.
Right.
What protocols are in place to make sure that person is registered to vote or should be voting?
Absolutely. My number one job as a general registrar is registering voters. That's what I do. We have many processes in place to verify a voter's residency here. They give us an application. It's by penalty of perjury, basically, in that what they're writing down is true and factual. We take that information. If there's any question about whether they are qualified to vote, whether it is due to a felony, due to mental incapacity, or I've had people that have shown that they're deceased. These are all red flags that we go into a little deeper dive into making sure that they are who they say they are where they're supposed to be, and making sure that our voter rolls are clean. The state also has programs in place that will scrub our voter rolls against other states to make sure that we don't have any duplications. The other thing is working with the Bureau of Vital Statistics and making sure that, you know, if someone has passed, that we will know about it in a much quicker timeline than what we're used to. So the Department of Elections is working very diligently to make sure that our voter rolls are clean, and they're giving us all the tools in which we can use to verify that. So, but if somebody walks in and they're not on the poll book, and we're going to ask them for their name and registration, or their name and their address, they're not on there, and we check that, and we're going to say, okay, did you move? have you moved here recently? And so there's one of two things that will happen. If they're voting early, before the election day, because we always start voting 46 days before every election, they can fill out a voter registration application right there. We'll get it turned around, and once they get their voter card, they're more than welcome to come back and vote early in the the no excuse absentee precinct is what early voting is. Or they could go to the polls on election day. If it is election day and say they've moved from Henrico into Hanover, we're going to ask them, okay, this is your address. We verify. This is the polling place that you would normally vote in, and we're going to give them what we call a same-day registration provisional. They fill it out just like a voter registration application, and they'll cast their ballot provisionally. And then once we get that back, and the day after the election is when the electoral board, which is a 3-member board, they'll come in to adjudicate those provisionals. And I've not seen a same-day registration denied, but it is at their purview to accept it or disqualify it. So most of the time, people do get registered to vote, and there's same-day registration. One of the great things that's happened in legislation this year is that the legislators got together and said, technology has caught up to us. We don't have to wait or cut the registration date off 21 days in advance of an election anymore, because our systems, we can update those much quicker now. Mm-hmm. So they actually reduced the last day to register to, you can register to vote in this election 11 days before election day, which is going to be great because everybody waits till the last second going, oh, I really do want to vote in that election. Mm-hmm. So they'll come in and they'll get to register and they'll get to vote. But again, if they waited and it's like, oh, I didn't register, but I still want to vote for the governor, they'll be able to go to their polling place and cast that provisional ballot. So lots of different ways to make your voice heard. So make sure you do it.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Okay, so someone comes in, they get their ballot, they're registered. You can see it's all above and beyond. They go and they cast their ballot. Mm-hmm. We use paper ballots.
Yep.
What are the advantages of that and that kind of process?
The advantages of using a paper ballot is you always have a paper trail. Absolutely. Virginia, we have to do what's known as a risk limiting audit. And through that process, it validates the accuracy of our machines. And the risk limiting audits that we've taken part in, there's no deviation from the winner by anything that we've seen. There's also, they're valuable when it comes to a recount. We had a recount last year, and there was no vote changed. It was exactly the same. So that attests to the security and safety of that ballot scanner that you insert your ballot into. Some people, they joke about, oh, it sounds like a shredder. No, it's not. I can assure you it's not. But yeah, the paper ballot has been great so that we can go back and validate anything, So the clerk of courts gets them right after we finish with them, and they're housed there for local elections. It's a year before the record retention kicks in where they can destroy it, or 2 years after federal election. So,
okay, so they cast their ballot, they take it over to the scanner. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk over the years about electronic voting machines and fraud and the internet and that sort of thing. This is not connected to the internet.
No, it's not. These we use the election software system, hardware and software, and through them, Hanover County, since we went from the old lever machines where you stepped in and the curtain clunked behind you, the county went with a paper ballot and this vendor. And there was a reason for it, as they were well established and very well respected in the election community across the nation. And so Hanover County has always maintained that paper ballot. And through the years, we've done upgrades and updates to the system, and we're still with them. During the time of the questioning of whether they're connected to the internet or anything like that, this particular company was never called into question. And so we're grateful for that. But I can assure you that these machines are not connected in any way to anything other than right there in that little one spot. It's not connected to anything.
Yep. So it just counts the ballots.
That's all it does.
So it's a ballot CPA.
It is. It's like back in the old day, I guess, when we'd have to do our SATs and you fill in the bubbles. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what this is. It basically is that. It's just counting the results that you put a dot in that bubble. You fill the bubble in.
How do you ensure that the machines are accurate? Can they glitch or get...
We test them thoroughly. Before every election, our electoral board, and this is true for across the Commonwealth, we get together and call a logic and accuracy certification. So we take a test deck, and like for this year, we had 326 ballots that we had to feed through this machine. And each of those machines had to come up with the exact same results across the board. And that's how we test it. We test all the ones that go out on election day, and by putting in another test deck to certify. And then we have to certify to the Department of Elections that, yes, we did certify all this stuff. So everything's been signed, sealed, and ready to be delivered to the polling place on election morning.
All right, so more redundancy there.
Yes, lots of paperwork.
Talk about where the ballots go, where they're stored. You mentioned that earlier, the
Yes.
circuit clerk's office.
Right. The ballots, once they're inserted into the ballot box, that chain of custody is extremely tight. And when the ballots are retrieved from that ballot box after 7 o'clock on election night, they're then housed in a secure sole key owner room until they go to the circuit court clerk. And we're fortunate here in Hanover County that working with our Parks and Recs department, we have their guys that are sworn oath to be able to touch the election equipment and materials, and they work with the circuit court clerk to get that over there in case if there is a recount or anything that we have to do that is adjudicated by the courts, making us have to go back in and do the recount or the risk limiting audit.
And so they hold on to those ballots for a year? Is that
They
what you
do.
said?
For a local election, the Library of Virginia gives us a record retention schedule for the government so that we don't just die from floods of paper, and that we are able to destroy the election material for a local election or odd number year elections. It's the even number year federal elections where they have to keep it for 2 years.
Okay. What else would you like people to know that are coming out to vote this year?
Oh my gosh, please go and check your voter registration status. It's very easy. If you have access to the internet, you can go to vote.virginia.gov. Simply go to the Citizens Portal, put in your information, and find out, oh yeah, I'm still registered in Hanover, or ooh, I moved to Henrico 6 months ago. Let me go ahead and update that. You can do that online. Or you can call your local registrar, our office, and we'll be happy to look you up and see where you go vote. I mean, it's so easy to check. It's so easy to register. We want everybody to come out and be a part of making history. We're so excited, our officers of elections and my staff, about this is going to be one of the biggest historic. We know presidential elections are historic all the time. Mm-hmm. They're always getting the big ball at the end of the year. But for this one, this is really special in Virginia. So I just encourage people to go check your voter registration, come on out and vote. If you're in Hanover, fantastic. But, you know, everybody else in the state's ready to receive you and help you vote too.
And how amazing that we know we will have a female governor.
I know. It's amazing. I can't wait. I mean, Hanover's 300 years old now?
We're pretty old.
Yeah, and the country is going to be 250, so it's taken a little bit, but we got there. So,
anything else you'd like to share? What's the most challenging part of your job? I know you guys work tirelessly.
Yeah, it's a long day. I think one of the biggest challenges is getting citizens to understand that those officers of elections that are there serving you, welcoming you into the polling place, asking you for your ID, and please state your name and address. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. These are people you go to church with. You know, we just ask for your patience and your grace and be kind to them. These folks serve an 18-hour day, and they definitely are not paid what they're worth. That's for certain. We call it volunteerism with a tip. And they're just an amazing group of people. You could not have an election in this state or in this nation without people willing to step up and serve as an officer of election. And I am just so grateful to be a part of them. And if anybody wants to be a part of making history, we welcome anyone to come in. You just got to be a registered voter to be an officer of election. So be kind to our officers of elections on Election Day is all I ask.
They're working hard.
They are working hard.
Thank you so much for kind of taking us behind the scenes and giving everyone a perspective on how it all works. We take for granted that we walk in, we vote, and it's good, but to know the safeguards in place is always important.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to shoot us an email. Give us a call. We would be happy to let you know. Anything that you have a question on, we'll be happy to answer it for you.
All right. Thank you again, Terry.
Well,
good luck
you.
with the election and the early voting and all that's to come. In this historic election, as she mentioned, get out the right to vote November 4th. Get your I voted sticker. Feel a sense of civic pride. And, make your voice heard. That's going to do it for this episode of Here in Hanover. We'll see you next month.